What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be going over a quick and easy way to put together a Google Ads forecast. So when you're trying to forecast a Google Ads budget, when you're trying to figure out how many conversions you're going to be able to drive from Google Ads in a given month, this is generally the method that I take. So I always start in the keyword planner because it's going to actually have a forecast tool that we can use. And what we would need to do is figure out what the best possible keywords are for whatever business we're trying to forecast for. So I was doing a few different examples, and what I ended up landing on was I just said, okay, let's just take a Charleston, South Carolina restoration company. So a local service business that's targeting a local market. And we're trying to figure out, okay, what can we actually expect with a monthly budget of, let's say, $3,000? What can we expect with a monthly budget of $5,000? Now, the forecasting tool within Google Ads is by no means perfect, so it's not something where you want to take the exact information here and use that to exactly make your decision. But it is something that can be useful to have an idea of how much clicks are going to cost, how much search volume there is, and whether or not it's worth advertising. So let's start by discovering new keywords. And we're going to be using, so I did the Charleston SC Restoration Company. I found this company right here, and I found nice website put together. So water, fire, molds. So very clear what they do. Serving Charleston SC and the surrounding areas. So we're going to first start by taking their URL. So Seaside Restoration, chs.com. And we're going to come over to the keyword planner. We're going to start with a website, and we're just going to paste that website right in here, and we're going to use the entire website. Now, automatically, I set these states earlier. It should automatically use whichever state or country that your Google Ads account is based in as the targeting. So I'm based in the United States, so it's going to use that for the targeting. So we have our website in here, and it gave us 1,600 different keyword ideas. Now, if you've been doing Google Ads long enough, you know you're not going to be targeting every single one of these different keywords. So there's different ways to go about this. One of the ways that you can do is you can say, you know what, we're going to take all of the keyword ideas that we have. We're not even going to go through any of these. We're just going to assume these are all good keywords that we can target, and we're going to limit this to the Charleston market. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is you're trying to put together a few different forecasts and come up with a rough idea of what you can get for your spend. The reason why I like doing this with all of the keyword ideas is because then you get all of the average monthly searches. If you start limiting it down to here are the keywords I'm actually going to target, you're really going to limit your data set, and it's going to be hard to know exactly how your Google Ads campaign would perform. So let's take all of these different keywords. We're going to take all 1676. We are going to add these to our saved keywords and add these keywords to create a plan. Okay, so now we've added these keywords. We have 1,600 keywords added to our plan, and we'll come over here. And now if you go to your saved keywords, once you click on this, it automatically goes back to United States. So if the data looks a little bit different, obviously that's why. What we want to do is we want to go to this forecast tab. So once you add all of your saved keywords from the keyword ideas, you go to the forecast tab, choose your saved keywords, and click on done. And now it's going to take all of those 1,600 keywords that we selected. Now this is automatically using the states because I was just working on this tool earlier. What we want to do is we want to do Charleston, and we want to do the Nielsen DMA region. So we're going to do this whole market. I know you may not target the entire market. A company like this may just serve this area right here because this is a huge, massive area. But we're going to click on save for right now, and we're just going to use the entire market. And what we're looking at is we're going to say, okay, we're targeting the Charleston market, all keywords, maximize conversions, broad match type. And what it's telling us is we are going to spend about $6,000. If our conversion rate is 3.39%, we're going to have 11 conversions at a $540 average cost per acquisition. Now, obviously, that is not a good number for a restoration company. That's way too high. Average cost per click, $18. So what we want to do is we want to take this up to about 15%. And we're going to click on save and say, okay, let's just say we have a 15% conversion rate. Okay, now we're with a $200 average daily budget, we can get 51 conversions, $120 average cost per conversion, and a $17 average cost per click. So you're kind of getting an idea of what you can expect with this, and you can actually adjust your average daily budget. So let's just say you're like, hey, we really want to spend. It's all right. It's only letting us go up to here. I guess we start to kind of hit a wall there. So what you would kind of see from this is I would probably be looking at a daily budget somewhere in the 150 range, 160 range. So if you're in 160 average daily budget, you're spending a little bit less, you're getting a good amount of conversions, your average CPA is $99. Not too bad for a restoration company, especially when you're looking at $15 for every single click. Now, what you really What I really use to put together my forecasts really quickly in my head and speaking to a client is I use the average cost per click. And basically what I look at is taking average cost per click. So this is good data that we have here. Average cost per click of $15. I multiply that by 10. That's essentially going to be, if we have a 10% conversion rate, so we can even just adjust this here, a 10% conversion rate, then that's going to say, okay, we are going to have a $150 average CPA. So that's just how the numbers always work out. If we can get a 20% conversion rate, so obviously that's the goal, is getting to 20 or above, especially for a local service company. For certain industries, you'll never get to 20%. So now we're at a $74 CPA, 64 conversions over the course of a month, about $5,000 monthly budget. So pretty good results. And you can see what the difference a really high conversion rate can make. You know, if you're down in the 6% range, your results are not going to be nearly as good. This is what I keep saying to anybody, any advertiser I talk to, or anybody who's doing consulting, or even clients I'm working with, is that we really need to optimize for conversion rate, because ultimately that's the only real way to manage your costs. This cost per click is going to be very high for anybody searching for companies where there's value attached to it. Mold removal near me, there are companies that are willing to spend a lot of money on clicks, on leads. So you are also going to need to spend a lot of money on clicks and leads. So this is one of the quick ways that I put together a forecast. The other method that I use is by going to the keyword ideas here, and instead of targeting our specific market and using these keywords, I say, okay, let's take our very high intent search keywords. So we're going to say, okay, the keyword text must contain near me. We could do companies, we could do company, we could do services, and we could do service. Probably also use like Charleston and things like that. I don't know if they'll have localized searches for this example. But now we have basically 440 keywords. These are probably more of our high intent keywords, people actively looking for these services. So we're not just really targeting things like mold remediation, we're targeting the actual service keywords. You can see a lot of these don't have data as far as bid ranges. So it may not give us the best information if we're just using our specific market and the high search intent keywords. So what I do in that case, and you saw me with it before, is I'll add basically the state that we're targeting, depending on where we're targeting. So if it's like California, you can pretty much just stick to California. If it's New York, you know, some of these states that are higher population, especially higher population density. So if you're in some of these areas up here, basically it's easier to get data with higher population density. When you have a little bit less population and a smaller set of keywords, sometimes what I'm looking for is, let's just pick the state I'm targeting, and we'll pick a couple of the surrounding states that would probably be pretty similar in terms of what the customer would look like. And now we have Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. We can add in Tennessee into the mix. You could add Alabama in the mix if you wanted to. Pretty much, I would say, a similar customer overall. So you're looking at 3 different states now. So we get more data in terms of average monthly searches and what the bid ranges look like. Really quickly, if you want to join a community of other people that talk about ads, then join the Surfside PPC ads community. Go to surfsideppc.com/community or school.com/surfsideppc, and you'll be able to join my community there. If you are interested in my Google Ads course, you can go to surfsideppc.com/course. It's $34.99. You will learn everything you need to know about managing Google Ads and making it successful for you. Last but not least, go to surfsideppc.com/consulting. I do consulting and audits in case you need help with an existing account. Let's get back to the video. Okay, and once you get to the step where we have our high search intent keywords that we want to look at, the next thing that you need to do is, if you haven't already, you'll have to go into your saved keywords, select all of the saved keywords in here and remove them. So if you haven't done that, then you may still have the same keywords that we used from the previous plan. Just make sure you're using only the 440 keywords that we selected there. Okay, so let's come back over to our keyword ideas now. We're going to select our new set of 440 keywords to our saved keywords, add these keywords to create our plan. Okay, so now that's going to create our plan. Now we have 440 keywords within our forecast. We're going to use all of our saved keywords and click on done. And now what you need to do is just make sure you update your locations again, because a lot of times they won't update them for you. We're using United States data. That's obviously going to be all over the place. So we want to use the same states we mentioned earlier. So we're going to do North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. You can also just do a test of like, let's just see what we get from South Carolina. Let's see what we get from, the entire United States. You can kind of get an idea by looking at different locations. What I'm really looking for in this case, okay, I adjusted a few things. So just kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but what I'm really looking for in this case is what my average cost per click looks like. This looks a little bit too good to be true. So sometimes if you're looking at an average cost per click and it looks looks like it's really good cost per click, I'll go over to these saved keywords and I'll just kind of adjust and say, okay, let's just look at what some of these cost per clicks look like for South Carolina. Let's get rid of United States and we'll click on save. And basically what I'm looking for is like, okay, for the keywords with the most average monthly searches, these are generally what you are going to be targeting the most. So mold remediation near me, water restoration near me. And what we can see here is the bid ranges really range on this case. So for mold remediation, you're around the $10 range. For anything that is water damage, you're looking at 20 to 25. For some of these restoration damage, water and damage and restoration companies, you're looking at in the 50 range. So kind of all over the place. So before it said $7.49, that doesn't seem accurate, or $7.54. I don't know why it's giving us that as the average cost per click. It's saying we get 34 conversions for $6,000 with a $200 average daily budget. Average CPA $180 with a pretty low conversion rate, so it's actually not terrible. So we're forecasting all of our keywords. What we can do is keep the bid strategy the same, and let's just say we change our match type to phrase match. Generally be targeting phrase match anyway. A lot of times when I do these forecasts, I do use broad match just to kind of get an idea of, okay, all of the average monthly searches we can find. Phrase match are generally how I would target these keywords in an actual campaign. So let's just say our conversion rate, we'll use 15% and $200 average daily budget. Now it's saying using Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, 57 conversions, $16 average cost per click. So pretty much in line with the other forecast that we saw. So let's get rid of North Carolina and Georgia now. We'll click on save, and obviously seeing much higher results when we just limit it to South Carolina. So this could be something where you say, okay, $34 here. CPA is projected to be higher in South Carolina. It's kind of surprising that it's so much higher than the other states, but it is also less population than the others. Exact makes it go really high, and broad, let's see what we get with our cost per click, and $14 cost per click. So truthfully, looking at all of this data, if I were to talk to a client based on everything we've seen here today, I would probably project a cost per conversion between $100 and $150 and say, best case scenario, we have a consistent cost per conversion around $75. Worst case scenario, we have a consistent cost per conversion around $150. That would generally be what I would expect to see just based on all of the data that I've looked at. Don't know if that's going to be perfect, but that would be my overall look at things in terms of a company that's never advertised before, that's starting to target things like this keyword. And, we're going to create customized landing pages. We're going to make things really optimized, and, we'll see how things perform once we start getting the actual data in. But that's how I put together a forecast. So to quickly recap, basically go to the keyword planner, use all of the keywords with a website. Now, real quickly, if you don't have keyword data with the website, then just use the actual keywords they're targeting. So use mold remediation near me, use mold abatement near me, mold restoration near me, water restoration near me. So take all of the main keywords. You don't have to use all near me either. You could just basically use the main service keywords. I think I'm just used to using near me so often. Water restoration, you could do water damage. So use some of those different keywords. We'll click on get results. And basically what you're looking for is to first start with a list of a ton of different keyword ideas. Now, what you may want to do if you use the keyword route is you can actually refine keywords, get rid of some of these brand searches and different things like that, surfaces that you don't do. So refined keywords can be a great way to say, okay, we just want non-brand keywords. We don't want any contractors. We don't want any company keywords. We don't want any other brand keywords. You can't actually do this when you enter a website. So this would be the one benefit of doing that. So we'll get rid of brand and non-brand. Service, these all look fine. I guess carpet cleaning is not one of them, but that might be something you end up doing through this service. Ceiling, walls, roof. So these all look good. Okay, we'll get rid of these. Others, apartment would be fine. Okay, so now we can refine our keywords a little bit. Scroll down, and now you have 1,700 keywords. So before we had about 1,600 keywords. So you're getting probably a pretty similar level of keywords in terms of what we entered with the website. So that's the one workaround if you need to do it. But ultimately, the way that I do it is using the actual market with all of the keywords that come up, or using a larger market, basically the whole state, or using a couple surrounding states to make sure that we have enough data to actually put together a forecast and see what we could expect from our Google Ads results. If I'm talking to a client, I usually project a little bit higher so that you're not putting yourself in a tough position where, saying, oh, we can expect a cost per conversion of $50 When it comes in at $125, the client's going to say, okay, something is off here from what I had, in terms of my expectation. So generally what I'll do is stay more on the higher end. In this case, I would probably tell the client $150 is maybe what we'll see in the beginning. We may start at around $200, $250 per conversion. And ultimately what we're going to try to do is get it to $150 and keep bringing it down by optimizing for conversion rate, optimizing keywords, search terms, everything in between. So if you have any questions about this, please leave them in the comment section. Thanks for watching my video today, and make sure you subscribe to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel.